guys, it's Dana and it's time to talk about money. And in this video, I wanted to talk about how to stop living paycheck to paycheck. So let's get to it. Okay, so living paycheck to paycheck, it's incredibly stressful and overwhelming. And so many of us live that way. And sometimes it's generational, you just continue doing it. Your mom lived that way, your grandma lived that way, and then you just kind of live that way. You make more money, you spend more money. And it's not really something that any of us really want to be doing. Living that way is hard. So how do we break the cycle? Not only for ourselves, but maybe for our children as well. Because if we can get ourselves under control or, our financial situation under control, then it'll help because our kids will see us living life a little bit less stressed out, and they'll also kind of take their cues from you and probably follow on with the same kind of money habits. So that's how I see it, is sort of breaking the cycle, breaking that chain within your own family. And when you're stressed out living paycheck to paycheck, you do yell at your kids more often, like you're just strung out, and rightly so. It's really hard when you don't have any extra money. So in order to break the cycle, the first thing is an emergency fund. You've got to get an emergency fund set up because it's going to help anytime there is an emergency. It's going to help you from going into debt, going further into debt, also just to give you peace of mind. So you have to build that up first. But in order to build an emergency fund, you have to first have a budget, right? So let's go back. So a budget is necessary, absolutely necessary, which a budget might sound scary, but it's just a written plan. It's just basically you writing down or putting in a spreadsheet how much money you are making every month and then how much money you are spending. So you have to look at your bank account. And I know for many years, actually just looking at my bank account was terrifying. I didn't want to look at it. It's just like, I don't want to see it. I just didn't want to pay any attention to it because I just felt like I was going to see it be overdrawn and there's no money in there and it's just so stressful and it's not fun. Well, I think it's fun now, but I didn't think it was fun then. But you have to force yourself to look at it. And maybe by listening to this video, you can be listening to me talking to you right now and go look at it. Like bring it up on your phone, look at your bank account and just start writing down. Like you can go back in your transactions and see maybe the prior month. How much money did you have going in? And then write down, like literally write down every category, every dollar that you spent. And then that way you can look at it in its entirety for that 1 month to see what are you spending your cash on? Where is this money going, right? Why did I overdraw my account? What am I spending it on? And then you can see very clearly on there, like maybe there's some things that you didn't need to be spending money on and you can kind of cut those things out. And then you'll have a plan for the next month. Like, okay, I know this is how much money I'm making, so I have to make sure that I don't overspend by going to the movies. We can't go to the movies. I'm not gonna be able to see that movie that I really want to see. And just have to say, no to that, right? And that's hard. Saying no is a really hard thing for a lot of people, whether you're saying no to yourself or a no to your family members. And that's definitely a muscle that you want to try to develop. And so practice saying no. I definitely recommend that. It can become very powerful in your life. The ability to say, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to go and do X, Y, Z, even though I really want to. Okay, so you've got your budget. I mean, we can go into talking about percentages, which, maybe is going to make you zone out, but you have your money coming in. Essentially, it's like everybody has different advice on different percentages, but you want 50%, maybe 50 to 60% of the amount of money that you make every month is what you should be spending on your expenses, which is like your food and your rent, your mortgage, all that stuff, right? And then you should be spending or saving, 10% of your money into a savings account. And then, 20% of your money is going to your entertainment. Ideally, 20% can be going to debt payoff. If you have debt, right? If you're not in debt, then you're living paycheck to paycheck, then probably you want to increase your income, okay? You need to get some more money coming in because you're just not making enough money. If you've got no debt, congratulations, that's awesome. A lot of times debt is what causes people to live paycheck to paycheck, but if you don't have that in your life, then that's awesome. Then you just need to increase your income, whether that means trying to speak to your boss about maybe getting a promotion, getting a raise, maybe trying to hustle a little bit more at work so that way you can justify asking for that raise, or looking for a new position. I've made the greatest increases in my salary by leaving one company and going to another, And then also switching departments. You have to move around sometimes to boost up your salary in a significant way, even though that sucks, that's painful, it's uncomfortable. But in order to do that, when you do that and you make more money, it's worth it. And then you're like, okay, I'm glad I did that because now my life is a lot better. I just had to go through that temporary, uncomfortable period of time. And it is temporary. You just have to tell yourself that. Like if you feel like you're crying on the way into work because it's new and you can't stand it, you will probably adjust in some way. And if you don't, and it's been a year, then you just then look for another job. Some companies actually value people that look like they bounce between jobs year after year, which I kind of see that sometimes as a red flag. That I've heard some people saying, like if somebody moved from one job to the next, every year they were moving up. Sometimes I think, oh, well, how do you know they just didn't get along with people? And then they just had to keep moving. So anyway, side note. All right, let's get that debt paid off if you do have debt. High interest debt needs to get out of your life. All debt, really, but those high interest credit cards, oh man, like you don't want to be dealing with that, right? So those two methods here, you can follow the debt snowball, where you pay off the smallest balance to the highest. The premise there is that you want to get all of those little quick wins done first, right? So if you have like a $200 bill somewhere, you want to get that done because then you can because there's some satisfaction in making a list and crossing things off. I love doing that. So if you've got a list of debts and you write them down in order, smallest to largest, and you pay off that smallest one, you can take a big Sharpie marker and just put a line through it and it feels awesome. So that's the debt snowball technique, where you pay minimum payments on everything except the smallest debt. You put as much money as you can towards that smallest debt, pay it off so that you can draw your line through it. Okay. The second method is called the debt avalanche, I think is what it is. Yeah. In this method, you are paying the highest interest off first. So you write down all your debts in order of highest interest to lowest, and you pay minimum payments on everything except the highest interest rate balance. And you pay that off first to try to minimize the amount of interest you're paying. Sometimes though, like the highest interest one, you might have like a really high balance on and it's taken like forever. And then you don't get any kind of sense of feeling like it's getting done quickly. Which can set you back. So you have to know yourself and your personality, what works best for you. Like I have no judgment either way, doesn't matter to me. So we did follow the debt snowball technique. It did work for us, but I have no problems with the other method of debt avalanche, getting those higher interest rates out of your life sooner. If that makes you feel better, go for it. All right, the more money you make, if you get that new job or you get a promotion or you're doing side hustles, this is what got you into this situation in the first place, is that you are just, oh, I've got more money. Now I can buy a better car. Or no, like, oh yeah, I can go buy better clothes now. Or I'm spending time now with coworkers who make a lot of money and they are doing this and they're going out to eat and I need to keep up with them. I need to like look the part and, be doing the same things that they are because I make more money now. I should be able to take more fabulous vacations. Okay, so stop. Like, slow your roll. No, like you have to stop doing that and take that extra income and put it towards your savings emergency account. I like a 1-year emergency account, or start investing the money or paying off your debt with it. Like there's so many other things you can be doing with that extra money rather than spending it on crap that you don't need and won't care about when you're 90 years old. So you're not going to care that you did those things. What you're going to care about is, yeah, I was super smart. I took my extra money and I invested it and now I'm a multimillionaire. And then, so maybe even depending on where you're at, what stage of life, maybe when you're in your 60s, you'll be able to like travel wherever the heck you want. Man, is that going to feel good? Because it sucks when you get older and you're still living paycheck to paycheck and you can't do what you want to do. Like you don't want to be in that place. And if you're in that place right now, it's not too late, right? You can still make a change and you can still fix up your finances and you can still travel. You can still, I'm hoping to be traveling in my 80s. I hope I can still travel when I'm 90 if I want to. I don't always want to travel. I don't really like travel. But if you want to do these things, you still can. So don't think to yourself, I'm too old. It's too late for me to stop living paycheck to paycheck, or for me to, boost my net worth. I can't do it at this point. Yes, you can. You still can do it. And so don't give up on yourself, right? You just have to start today. Like today, start and try to improve, because in 10 years, your entire situation could be different. And if you start now, that's going to be, think about the future you. And are you going to be happy that you started now? Maybe you're 65. 75-year-old you is going to be super happy that you started today to stop living paycheck to paycheck and start to build wealth, and you're going to be in a better place at that point. All right, and then you need to create some financial goals to stop living paycheck to paycheck. You have to have a goal. You have to think about it. You have to be very specific with it. You can't just say, I want to be rich. Like, I want to be rich. Like, that's not going to do anything. Like, what is that going to do? Nothing. You have to actually say, like, I want to have $10,000 in a savings account. I am going to work towards that. How much do I need to save every month to reach that $10,000 savings account goal? And then once you reach that $10,000 savings account goal, you're probably gonna be like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna boost that up, baby. I want that to be $50,000. No, I want that to be $100,000 in that savings account. So you see what I'm saying? So you have to have these goals to reach towards, and they should continue to evolve and grow over time, obviously. But if you just say generalizations, then it's not going to happen, and you're going to continue to live paycheck to paycheck. So you have to have some goals as far as, because that way it's easier to sacrifice, because none of us can really sacrifice if we don't know why we're sacrificing. You need to know why you're cutting things out of your life in order to, you can't just be like, oh, I just decided to stop doing stuff, but I don't really know why. But because then you won't stick with it. You'll go back, you'll slip back to old ways. And so you need to know, and you need to be clear, you need to write it down, you need to share it with people. Like, this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to accomplish this goal. And if you can do micro goals, like this is where, like the big goals get overwhelming. And especially, in talking to my kids, this is like the situation where they're like, oh, I don't know, like what I'm going to do here with my career. I have no idea, what am I going to go to college for? What do I want to do in my career? And it's like, well, you don't really need to think about that right now. You want to think about your micro goal, which is this current year, and making the distinguished honor roll list, because then that way you'll have choices in the future. So if you can do well with your grades, if you can do community service, which they do, if you're involved in this music program, like all these little micro goals of things you're trying to reach, then it's going to give you more options in the future towards those bigger goals. So it's the same thing with finances, with trying to stop living paycheck to paycheck. You have to have these little micro goals of what you're trying to reach, and then that'll help to give you a sense of accomplishment, and it'll make it easier to actually get there and reach those goals. But you can't just be like, I'm gonna have $1 million. I want to become a millionaire, which is a great goal. I want to be a millionaire. But if you just look at that and you're currently living paycheck to paycheck, and you're constantly overdrawing your account, like that $1 million goal just seems so hard and so far away. So like I said, you want to try to make it be where I'm going to save $1,000 in my savings account. That's your first goal. Then $5,000, then $10,000. And this is something that you have to determine for yourself based off where you're at right now. So, but in order to live a life of peace and to feel, again, choices, that's what I'm big on. You want to have choices in your future, and be able to spend money on what you want to spend money on, and also feel like you can choose jobs and careers and do things that have meaning to you, and not just be working certain things or certain jobs just because you have to in order to pay your bills. That's not a great place for anybody. Nobody wants to feel that way. You want to feel like you have, like you can say, I don't want to take that job. That job sucks. I don't want to work with those people. A lot of it for me is who I'm working with. I don't want to work with those people. I can't stand those people. I'd rather go work over here even though I'm taking a pay cut, which is something I've actually done in my life. I've actually taken a pay cut to change teams, to work with people that I wanted to work with. And so you want to have that ability to do that. But you can't if you're living paycheck to paycheck and you have no savings and you've got a ton of debt. You need to be able to get past that so that way you have options. And you're looking at your bank account. Go ahead and look at your bank account and see what's in there. All right, I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.